How's it going, everybody? It has been over a month since I last saw y'all. Reason being, I may look smaller because I've lost a lot of weight. That's the reason I haven't been here in a while. It's I'm taking different medications for the first time ever. I'm taking medication because my doctor looked at me and he was like, he did my blood work. I think I told you about this. He did my blood work and he said, "You have the blood of an 80-year-old." And I was appalled by this. It was one of the most embarrassing things ever. I was like, what do you mean the blood of an 80-year-old? I have bad blood. So he says, do you want to lose weight? I said, yes, I want to get healthy. And without missing a beat, this man put me on a bunch of medication. Four medications, 4 pills. And it's 2 of them are one is for an iron deficiency and one is for cholesterol. The other 2 are for weight loss. He gave me no option. He was like, you're not taking a diet. You're not doing it. You've had enough time to do this on your own. And I failed. So he gave me 2 pills to lose weight. 1 pill is a daily pill. I take once a day. The other pill I take 4 times a day. And that one, you're supposed to slowly ramp up to 2 in the morning and 2 at night. Or at least 2 just 2. Just 2 times a day, you take 2 pills. So you're supposed to ramp up like 1 for the first week, 1 a day. And then, maybe 2, 1 at night, 1 at day. And then 2 in the morning and 1 at night. Like for like 4 weeks, you ramp up till you're taking 2 a day or 4 a day. I started with my medication, iron, cholesterol, the weight loss, the 1 day, and then the other weight loss, which was 4 a day. I started all of it the same day, and I took the dosage I'm supposed to take, 2, 2, 2. 4 of the other one of the other ones, And that combination, without ramping up and letting my body get used to it, it literally had my stomach in knots. So I was in pain for a week or 2. My stomach was just hurting all the time. And then for a couple weeks after that, if I drink too much water or if I ate too much because it was shrinking my stomach, I would start throwing up. So, and it wouldn't be throw, it'd be like spit up. Like I just a lot of fluid just came out. It wasn't throw up. So it really messed me up. So I've been getting better at that now. The storm just picked up here at my house. I have access to live on like 3 different things. I turn this already. Dude, that I probably go live on TikTok. Let's listen. Yeah, I was approved. I know I was approved 14 days. Jesus Christ. Do you hear that? Let me set this up. That's mini spot. No, there. It's not over. Piece of crap. There. I clicked on the wrong one and it wanted me to have. It was like, oh, you're playing a game? I was like, no, I'm not playing a game. I want to be live. So I'm live. I can receive whatever. Hi, everybody on TikTok. I'm live. I just explained why I was gone for over a month. I'm not going to explain again. Oh, well, right? And we're going to actually start recording the episode. So, let's see. I used to start it off. No, I ended it with the fun fact. No, I went with the fun fact. So, I told y'all about myself, why I missed for a month, and I'm back. Even during that time, I quit posting on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. I quit posting everywhere because I wasn't feeling good. The medication was really tearing me up. But I'm finally back, and I'm ready. So, I hope y'all can hear me very well, too. I don't know if y'all can or not. Let me know. But let's get started. So, we're always educational. We're here to make sure you know what's going on in Mexico. Right now, nothing going on. Last episode I did were the women of Mexico. I think that was my last episode. I'd have to check, actually. See if I can check without crashing everything. Episodes declined. I don't want to. Thank you. Okay, so my last episode that I published was Celestial Encounters Angel Sightings in Mexico. The one I did about the women of Mexico, the mothers of Mexico, that was 512. The last time I recorded was 610. It is now 8-3. That's 2 months. So I just disappeared on y'all. But I'm back. So let's put this back over here. There you go. So we're going to start out today with the men, the heroes of Mexico, because we went over the heroines of Mexico. Now it's the heroes. So, time, I think the time is 1889. We are in Mexico. It is the time of like Emiliano Zapata, Pancho Villa, the greats. We'll talk about them later. What we're going to talk about right now is Kingo Nonaka. He was, the way they word it, he was a samurai. He was a samurai that traveled, So he may or may not have been a samurai. That's just what they call him, right? So Kingo Nonaka was born in 1889 in the southern Japanese region of Fukuoka. That's a tongue twister there. Just go over here. Fukuoka, facing the rich seas of the Tsunami Strait. Tsushima Strait, not tsunami, my bad. Nonaka's family made their living by diving for pearls, an occupation with 2,000 years of history in the archipelago. Due to social and political upheavals occurring in Japan in the latter 19th century, many like Nonaka considered casting their lot in the New World. So, in other words, his family were divers. This is still a very popular thing. Like, you can go on TikTok and you'll see pearl people all the time. Some of them are shysters, but the rest of them are pretty cool. They're actually real pearl divers. So what did they do? They migrated. They went to the U.S. They went to Brazil. But between 1904 and 1907, hundreds of Japanese immigrated to Mexico. No, we're talking right now. We'll do that later if we have time. One moved to Mexico, where skilled labor in the construction, mining, and sugar industries was much needed. So Mexico needed immigrants to help them work. Hey, it helped. But this was also the time where, things were happening in Mexico. Much like her northern neighbor, Mexico reacted negatively to the new Asian immigrants and enacted exclusionary legislation against Japanese and other Asian immigrants. By 1908, Mexico sealed its borders from Japan. So Mexico did what Trump tried to do, and they actually did it. No matter, the 17-year-old Kingo Nonaka was already in Oaxaca by then, with his brother and uncle, getting quickly tired of the inhumane conditions of coffee farms where he found employment. Although the Japanese workers had contracts that set their working hours and wages, their bosses continuously violated them. So they treated them like crap. They were here, they were working, and it was like a labor camp. They weren't allowed to do what they needed to do. And following the death of his uncle from malaria, Nonaka had an adventurous youth, traveling to the United States and returning to Mexico, where he settled in Chihuahua. Being adopted and baptized by a local family, it was here that he learned nursing from working at a local infirmary. So he became a nurse. So why did I say that these are the samurais of Mexico? We're about to get to that part. While he was visiting a friend in nearby Casas Grandes in the spring of 1911, Kingo Nonaka would find his calling and cement his place in Mexican history. And y'all guess what he did? The Mexican Revolution had begun. How would you think that he enacted himself? Like, how was he ingrained into Mexican culture? By joining Francisco Madero. I don't know, wrong one. That's who attacked. Had begun. and the rebel army led by General Francisco Madero had attacked a government garrison at Casas Grandes. By sheer chance, Madero, wounded from battle, would receive treatment from Nonaka, who was recognized for his talents and promptly recruited him. Oh yeah, no, Francisco Madero. I'm dumb. I forgot. He had a real name. That's not a name. Okay, but that's still part of it. We're getting to it. General Francisco Madero, wounded from battle, received him. So he took care of him. And he was like, hey, you're great. We need people like you to join us. You know how to fix people. You're not an asshole. We need you, right? Later that year, Madero would win a brief victory and take the Mexican presidency. Nonaka was appointed as head nurse of a hospital in Ciudad Juarez, responsible for treating wounded soldiers. So this guy became the top nurse, doctor, whatever you want to call him, in Mexican history. That is awesome, right? But he wouldn't stay still. He was always like, okay, we got to move on next. He participated in more than a dozen operations, most of them with the legendary General Francisco Pancho Villa. Now that's a name, right? That is a name. He was with Pancho Villa. So if you Google Pancho Villa and his samurais, this guy pops up. And he was promoted to captain in the Northern Division. Likely the first Asian Mexican, I was going to say Asian American, Asian Mexican to attain that rank. And he was far from the only Japanese who had distinguished himself in both sides of the Mexican Revolution. So, other figures from other samurais of Mexico, Pancho Villa and his samurais, were, let's see, okay, so, Tsuro Nishino, personal cook of Pancho Villa, so his chef. Shinzo Harada, a judo master who taught martial arts to the soldiers. Zinzo Tanaka, who escaped from a coffee plantation and became a cavalry lieutenant. Emilio Nakahara, who became second sergeant. And Antonio Yamin, who attained the rank of first captain in the Constitutional Army. So these are, notable figures in history. And in the most unlikely of histories, they were in Mexico fighting alongside Pancho Villa. So, like I said, if you want to Google Pancho Villa and his samurais, this is what pops up. You're about to hear a lightning strike in like 2 seconds. If my microphone picks it up. So, when the revolution ended in 1920, Nonaka left the army. The search for a quiet life took him to Baja California, a beautiful peninsula washed by the crashing waves of the Pacific and the calm California Gulf on the other side. He settled in the growing town of Tijuana, where he opened a small photography studio. In the ensuing years, photographs taken by Nonaka will provide valuable scenes, recording the rise and the development of Tijuana today. So, who has the history of Tijuana? A Japanese Mexican immigrant. I mean, that's amazing. That is one of the top heroes of Mexico, and he's not Mexican. That just goes to show that no matter where you're born, a Mexican can appear out of nowhere. Because being Mexican is not just this, right? The skin tone, hablando español. Eso no es ser mexicano. It's in your soul. It's your spirit. It's who you are. I always call myself Mexican first and then American. I know I'm a No Sabo kid. I'm second generation American. Hey, but I've been in Mexico way more times than I've been anywhere else in the United States. I've only been to Oklahoma like twice. I've been to Mexico. If you add up all my time in Mexico, it'd be a couple years. All my time. So, but yeah, that's crazy, right? When the war ended, most Japanese Mexicans never saw the homes and businesses they held before the relocation, many settling where they had been incarcerated during the war years. So a lot of them got caught. They were fighting for the opposition. They were on Pancho Villa's side. So whenever they got caught, they got jailed, whatever, right? But whenever they were out, they just set up shop wherever they came out. Nonaka would remain in Mexico City until his death in 1977. I think it took 2 years for him to be, 2 decades for him to be a naturalized citizen. So he quietly practiced medicine. He became a founding member of Mexico's National Institute of Cardiology. Heart doctors in Mexico got their start because of a Japanese immigrant that was Mexican. That's awesome, right? So what did he do before he died? Before he settled down, became a doctor, and started cardiology, right? Second World War caused Mexico to break diplomatic relations with Japan. Like their counterparts in the United States and Canada, citizens of Japanese descent were relocated to internment camps on suspicion of spying for the enemy, a claim with no solid basis. No evidence of espionage by Japanese immigrants was found in any of the 3 countries. Around 3,500 Japanese Mexicans were forced to move away from the coastal areas and relocated to the harsh central deserts. That's how he ended up in Mexico City. Simply by sharing a face with the enemy. Nonaka, a veteran of the revolution who had served alongside some of Mexico's most illustrious heroes, was forcibly uprooted from his home in Tijuana and relocated to Mexico City. So, just like the U.S., when the war started, they rounded him up. They were, cautious, unfortunately. And just because of the way he looked, even though he was a Mexican war hero, he ended up in a jail and an internment camp. But as soon as the war ended, he stayed in Mexico. All the other Japanese Mexicans, they stayed because that was their country. That was their país. That's who they fought for before all that bull crap of World War II happened. They were part of the revolution. So they understood the issue. They hated it, but they understood what was going on. So here they are, right? And, they came and they're amazing. They opened up shop. And like I said, he became a founding member of the National Institute of Cardiology. As far as the study of immigrant groups in the New World goes, material on Japanese diaspora remains scarce. As far as the study of Japanese immigrants to Latin America, the focus has been on Japanese Brazilians, who number 1.5 million today. Japanese Peruvians, very little literature exists on Japanese Mexicans, perhaps because of their low numbers in comparison to Chinese, Italians, and other groups, or perhaps because Japan itself became one of the world powers after the 19th century. The Nikkei population stories are relatively obscured beyond internment camps. So, beyond that, nobody knows how many Japanese came to Mexico. But the few that did left a footnote in history. They stamped Mexico City. They left their mark in the heart of Mexico. They fought alongside some of the top revolutionaries. They fought with Pancho. That is amazing. I find that to be one of the most fascinating stories I saw. And I saw this a couple of days ago, I saw it about a week ago, while I was at work. While I'm at work, I do stupid stuff. I have, my laptop set up. I got 3 screens actually. I got 3 screens set up. So I got like the news and then my reports and everything. So whenever I get bored of doing my stuff, I could read the news. So I'm reading the news and I see Samurais of Mexico. And I was like, this is clickbait. I got to check it out. And no, it was actually everything about this. I was like, that is the most amazing thing ever. So we talked about Samurais of Mexico. We have like 40 minutes to finish this off, right? Where can we go next from here? Next. This is one of my favorite stories. So bear with me here. Let me just get set up. There you go. So meet Frey Tormenta, Friar of Pain. Now, Who is this Mexican priest? None other than the iconic character that Jack Black portrayed in a little movie called Nacho Libre. I bet you I didn't know Nacho Libre was based off a real person. There was an actual priest. In the movie, he was like a monk, a friar trying to become a priest, get into priesthood. But there was an actual priest that was a wrestler. That's how he made money to save the church or the orphanage. He is on Instagram, I believe. How many followers does the real Nacho Libre have? Let's check it out. The real Nacho Libre only has 1,285 followers? Is this my personal Instagram or? I think I'm gonna follow him. When was the last time he posted? The last time he posted was July 21st. So he doesn't post that often. A couple days ago. His mask is awesome though. I'm gonna follow. If you check out my Instagram, I just followed him. Bam. Because we're doing his story. I wonder if I can get him on here. That'd be cool. Anyways, so yeah, he was the real Nacho Libre. So the story of a devoted priest who became a wrestler to support orphans under his care. And it was made into a movie in 2006, starring Jack Black. And that movie is awesome. And Jack Black actually speaks really good Spanish. Like I said, most people don't know that it's an actual priest. His name is Sergio Gutierrez Benitez, also known by his ring name, Frey Tormenta. So it could be like the torture, like torturing priest or the priest torture, but the way they're using it, Tormenta, is like a tormenta, like a storm. So he's basically Friar Storm. He did it like Nacho Libre did. He moonlit, or he was like, nobody could know that this is what he was doing to make money. So he was moonlighting as a wrestler and help the children, right? Oh my God. Excuse me, I had a burp. So y'all know that scene where he's giving like the kids beans and everything, and it looks all crazy. Like there's a picture that looks kind of like that. He's at an orphanage, a long table. He's holding a pitcher, and he's wearing his wrestling mask. That is awesome. That is one of the coolest things ever. So, Sergio Gutierrez Benitez. Let's get into him. Let's get into the subject. He was born in San Agustin, Mezquitin, a town in central Mexico, in 1945. He had a complicated youth and began struggling with addiction when he was just 11 years old. By the time he turned 18, he was a criminal and thief. He was working to sustain his dosage. So his addiction. He did everything from being an actor to being a clown for the circus. He spent everything on his addiction. And he needed more. So, once an addict they crave it. They need to keep coming back, right? He started stealing. In search for redemption, Benitez went into a church and entered the confessional. The priest offered little help and instead shoot him off. Disappointed, he decided to enter rehab, join a seminary, and become the kind of priest he couldn't find at his most desperate hour. So, just like, he wanted to be the change that he needed, which is amazing because most times, like, priests are supposed to help you, but this priest was like, you're just a bum, you're a drug addict, you're a thief, I can't do nothing for you, just be gone with you. Do like 5 Hail Marys, just go kick rocks, basically, right? Rehab, he joined a seminary, and he wanted to be the priest that actually cared. His dedication even took him further in his studies in Rome and Spain, and was eventually inducted into the Piarists order. My reading not so good. It's 4:00 in the morning. Back in Mexico, Benitez dedicated his work to people struggling with addiction, but after one person died in his arms, he swore to always help the destitute, and it led him to create an orphanage. He later became a secular priest in the diocese of Texcoco, just outside of Mexico City. So he opened up the orphanage because he lost the soul. He tried to help those with addiction. He did his best. But when he lost somebody, he was like, I have to get to the root of the problem. And all this happens because it starts at the beginning. The way they're raised, the way they're treated leads you down your path. So he said, you know what? I'm going to open up an orphanage and I'm going to stop the problem before it happens. I'm going to help them avoid addiction. And that's what he did by opening up the orphanage. He set up shelter in 1976, but realized it was going to be pricey. So how is he going to afford all this, right? So like in the movie, he was like, how much? He needed like money for food in the movie. Like he's giving all those nasty beans. He goes, it's delicious. And he spits it out. Nah, he wasn't doing that, right? So he remembered he saw a movie earlier in his life titled El Señor Tormenta, Mr. Storm, in which a priest becomes a wrestler to support his orphanage. From there, he set his sights on winning $1 million like Muhammad Ali. So, the life of Nacho Libre the movie Nacho Libre started because a priest, the real Nacho Libre, saw a movie about a priest, wrestler, saving an orphanage. What came first, the chicken or the egg? So he saw a movie about a priest becoming a wrestler to support an orphanage. So he became a wrestler to support an orphanage, which later created a movie about a wrestler to support an orphanage. That's like breaking the fourth wall. To achieve his goal, he trained every day at a gym for 4 hours in the morning, finishing just in time for 7 a.m. He sometimes showed up to confessional booth with bruises and in pain. After a year of preparation, he made his debut, earning about $15 in his first combat. Inspired by the movie, he picked up the ring name Frey Tormenta, the Storm. Gutierrez said in an interview, I thought the character is going to be brought to life by the fact that people believe that he actually is a priest. Safeguarding his identity by wearing a red and gold mask, he traveled from town to town. Although it's common in Mexican wrestling for a fighter to have their identity revealed after waging their mask and losing in combat, Frey Tormenta's true name was revealed by accident. Another famous wrestler, Huracan Ramirez, was to blame. One day he called me on the phone and told me, Tormenta, we will fight on Saturday. And then I slipped out. I have to officiate a wedding. He replied, are you really a priest? I asked him to keep it secret, but that Saturday he came to the wedding, and in a few days, everybody knew. In the end, it turned out to be a good thing because he got promoted. He went around the world fighting exhibition matches. He didn't want people to know because, it's a secret. He doesn't want people to know that a priest is wrestling because what's a priest supposed to do? Stay, honor, solemn, vows, all this other, jazz, to stay holy and all this stuff. But he was a wrestler. He was, he had to keep his secret. He didn't want people coming to his orphanage, wanting pictures and autographs. So he told the other wrestler, I got a wedding that day. I can't make it, right? And he told him he was a real priest. I guess he didn't believe him because he showed up to the ring, or he showed up to the wedding. A famous wrestler showed up to the wedding, and then a week later, they fight. Yeah, I'm gonna know who it is, right? So, but hey, it worked out in his favor because, like I said, he was able to go out and travel the world as Frey Tormenta, the Father Storm. He only wanted to be a wrestler for a couple years. He spent 23 years as a wrestler, so he only wanted to do a short time to make the money for the orphanage. But he did it for 23 years and retired in the year 2000. So he was active for a long time. From wrestling, I like that people turn you into an idol and you can use the fame to help them. I can't conceive wrestling just for money if it's not for a cause. So he wasn't wrestling for the fame and fortune. He was wrestling to save lives. Can you imagine that? Like Stone Cold Steve Austin, John Cena, The Rock, uh, Batista. Instead of being, Stone Cold Steve Austin, the Rattlesnake, the Undertaker. Instead of being their characters, if like Stone Cold came out with a little white collar and he was Father Cold, it'd be crazy. You wouldn't believe it, but that's what he did. After surviving a bad case of COVID-19 in 2020, Gutierrez sold some of his mass to raise money for the orphanage. Despite being in his late 70s, he still officiates Catholic masses. He occasionally does appearances at matches and is known for wearing his mask at church. Gutierrez is proud of his orphanage, which he named La Casa Hogar de los Cachorros. In other words, Frey Tormenta's puppies. Frey Tormenta's Puppies Children's Home. He has helped over 2,000 kids, some of who have become doctors, lawyers, accountants, and of course, priests and wrestlers. That is amazing. So, I know I read a lot, but the real Nacho Libre is still alive today. He just posted something on his Instagram in July 20. If you like, go to Instagram. You can click off of me. I don't care. I know on TikTok Live, you can click off of me, go to his Instagram, and follow him. It's Frey Tormenta. FRAY_TORMENTA _. He did a lot for his team first. Sergio Benitez. This is cool. I'm following him because this is awesome. Does he have reels? He has reels. It's just like, he's actually with the other wrestlers. There's one where he's talking to other wrestlers. I don't know who that is. I don't want to click on it. Holy crap. Yeah, he's still very active. And he has a TikTok. We got to find him. We have to find him. Who is he talking to? That mask. It's white and gold. But he's cool. It's one of the greatest things ever. I can't believe it. Well, I can't believe it because I knew about the story, right? One of my favorite stories. So, who are we going to round out today, right? We talked about Pancho Villa and his samurais, the Mexicans, the Japanese Mexicans. We talked about the real Nacho Libre. Where can we go from here, right? Well, how was that? Hold on. This guy shares my last name. Diego Rivera. I just saw this. La chingada estás bien feo, güey. He's a painter. He's a very famous painter. Painter. His name is Diego Rivera. The picture that they have of him with all the other famous people of Mexico, like one bulging eye. It looks like he got a stroke in this picture. And if he did, I'm sorry, I don't mean to be. He has a monkey, the bandolier, in one of the pictures. I get ADHD at its most, right? I just got distracted 3 different times. One, because of his painting or his self-portrait, whatever. He is not a good-looking guy. I'm sorry. And then he has a little monkey on his shoulder in one of the other pictures. And then I got discovered he's a painter. So, too many things. ADD gone. Boom. Let's get rid of that because we'll never get to the next person. The next person was born in 1879. And he was assassinated. 1919. I'm talking of no other than Emiliano Zapata. One of the biggest revolutionaries alongside Pancho Villa. He's one of the top dogs of Mexico. Oh man, there's a lot about him here. The legacy of Emiliano Zapata. So we're just going to go through this shortly. Right? In Mexico, the spirit of Emiliano Zapata is still revered as a revolutionary leader. Continues to thrive through the unwavering dedication of his descendants. From the valiant efforts of his son, Mateo Zapata, passionate commitment of his great-grandson, Edgar Castro Zapata, and the legacy of Zapata lives on in the ongoing fight for justice and empowerment. That is awesome. And these 3 guys look very like, this is them. They look like the manliest men on the planet. Emiliano Zapata with that big mustache. His son has the same one. His grandson doesn't, because Fancy got the whole beard thing on. But anyways, they're still fighting the good fight for Mexican citizens. The recent recognition by UNESCO further solidifies the importance of his historical lineage. So they're still advocating for the rights of farm workers, agrarian reform, social equality. That's what he fought for. His tireless work and unyielding spirit became a beacon of hope for many, carrying forward the revolutionary legacy embedded in his family's history. Fast forward to the present day, and we find Edgar Castro Zapata, torchbearer of his great-grandfather and grandfather's vision. Through his educational endeavors, Edgar Castro Zapata strives to inform the public about the profound impact and significance of Emiliano Zapata. So he's educating people about this and what he fought for and how it could change the world. It's amazing, right? And his family is still fighting for Mexican farmers. You should take that, that's awesome, right? But let's talk about Emiliano Zapata and the revolution. A little summary. He led the liberating army of the South during the Mexican Revolution. Zapata's movement began with a demand for land reform. So he wanted to change the rules of land. He wanted it to be more for the people and not for the government. And his beliefs are most often captured by reference to the Plan de Ayala, which he, that's a big word, promulgated in 1911. It was largely because of the Zapatistas, Zapata and his adherents. Zapata and his men, they're called Zapatistas. If you are a revolutionary to this day and you are fighting for the farmers' rights of Mexico, you are most likely going to be called Zapatista. That's what you are. Not a bad thing. That's just what you are. You're standing for land reform. I don't know how else to say it. Zapata's a great person. Yeah. That land reform was written into Mexican Constitution in 1917. Later, especially under President Lázaro Cárdenas, the Mexican government carried out major land redistribution, which helped grant the post-revolutionary state legitimacy in the countryside. Over the course of nearly a decade fighting in the revolution, Zapata's vision for remaking Mexico extended far beyond the Plan de Ayala and land reform to include judicial reform, decentralization of power, political democracy, and the redistribution of wealth, and the promotion of interests of rural workers, small agricultural producers, while protecting Mexican sovereignty against powerful foreign interests. Zapata, however, led the most poorly armed of the main factions in the revolution and was unable to realize his goals. So after he got some of his goals done, this man said, we can do better. We can go big. And he went big. But he did not have the power to go big. He got too big for his britches on this one. His enemies received large amounts of foreign military supplies, while he received no assistance from abroad. The inability of his poorly equipped volunteer army, mostly peasants and hacienda workers, so in other words, just peasants and like the butler. Hacienda workers, they're the people that work in the big house, right? To carry out large pitched battles dictated that they had to fight a grueling guerrilla war. Zapata was unable to win on the battlefield, but was never totally defeated. He was assassinated in 1919. Although his larger vision for the future of Mexico did not prevail, his fight for land reform helped shape modern Mexico. So he molded Mexico into what it is to this day. Well, not to this day, because the cartels have really jacked it up. But the Mexico that everyone remembers was because of Emiliano Zapata. The redistribution of land to the people, the redistribution of wealth, trying to get everything back on its feet. That was him. His main goal was the political and economic emancipation of Mexico's peasantry. So in other words, he wanted the poor to be the rich, and he wanted the rich to stay the rich. He wanted everyone to come up, right? That is awesome. His began with land reform, and his beliefs are most often captured by the reference of the Plan de Ayala, which he started in 1911. He was a hero. That's a lot of information. He was doing this for a while. I got a lot of stuff about him because, like I said, he was one of the big ones. He is, I could have talked about Pancho Villa, but I like Emiliano Zapata. They were born a year apart. Emiliano Zapata and Pancho Villa. Against the backdrop of the Mexican Revolution, two leaders emerged to end the 35-year dictatorship of Porfirio Diaz and change Mexico forever. They both had a limited education, so they're poor. In Mexico, how do I put this? Like, I don't want to speak out of turn because I'm Mexican American. I was born over here. I went to school over here. I did all that stuff. But from what my grandfather told me, he was born, raised, lived in Mexico all the way up until he was an adult. And he lives in Texas now. That's where I'm at. But, I hear his stories. He was a goat herder. A goat herder for a lot of his youth. So the way he explains it to me, and the way a lot of my family told me, is you go to school. And then you go like primaria, secundaria, which is the schools, right? And then after a certain year, you have to pay for school. And it's still like high school, middle school, right? So you get to a point where are you going to school or are you going to work for your family? And a large amount of people back then, even to this day, more back then, the men were not well educated because once they hit that time of like, am I going to pay for school, make my family suffer, or am I going to go get a job? They all want to go get a job. My grandfather was a goat herder. He'll tell you the funniest things ever. And I'm dumb enough to believe most of them too. But that's just what he is, right? And now he owned his own company. He worked for another company for years, so he was forced to retire. He's retired. He's just living his life now. He has a little dog there. But yeah, that's just why in a lot of the stories of Mexican revolutionaries, you're always going to hear that they were poorly educated. Because after a certain time, you have to make that decision. Go to school or work for your family. And that carries on, I hate to say it, that is like generational trauma. Because I know kids today who are first generation Americans. Actually, no, there's one kid I know is from Mexico. Came over here. He's working on his paperwork. His mom got her paperwork. He's got to work on his. But he has this instilled into him. So he's already out of high school and he's going into college. But he hasn't gone to college. He wants to become a veterinarian. But he has not gone. Why has he not gone? Because he's making money for his family. Now, I understand that because that's how I lived. Because after I got out of high school, I dropped out. But after I got out, I started working. I worked every single day. And then when I was 18, I had a kid. So I definitely had to work. I had an apartment. I had a kid. I had a girlfriend. That didn't work out. It's another story for another day. And I kept working my ass off every single day. I quit going to Mexico. I quit going, to do stuff with my friends. I still hung out with them whenever I cut on my days off. I did a lot of stuff because this is how I was raised. And, that's why a lot of the Mexican heroes are not very educated men because this is how we're all raised. Now, once you get like second, third, fourth generation Mexican Americans, it's different. Now they don't want their kids to be the same way anymore. Now they're going, you need to go to school, get an education, do better than me. This is what I tell my daughter all the time. Like, you saw the way I struggled. You were there. I struggled day and night just to do the minimum. And I didn't get a real vacation until I met my wife. I've been married for 10 years. Until I met my wife, I hadn't gone on vacation. I had worked my ass off every single day. Then I met her and she convinced me to take a couple days off and go on vacation. And I was panicking. I was like, taking time off, just taking a vacation. I put in vacation time. But in my mind, I couldn't wrap my mind around that I'm getting paid not to be here, right? Because I was raised to work your ass off. If you don't work, you're not contributing. Like, and that's the example I want to give you for the Mexican revolutionaries, the Mexican heroes of war, the heroines of Mexico. It's always the same story. They were not very well educated. The reason they became heroes is because they saw an injustice and they fought and they worked hard to change the world. But they had to sacrifice something. A lot of times, that was school. They sacrificed their education so they can become revolutionaries, heroes, and heroines. Anyways, I know I went on a whole tangent there. I'm sorry. Let's get back to Emiliano Zapata. He was passionate about land reform. He led a group of soldiers called the Southern Liberation. He is held up an icon of the common worker and defender of the poor. Pancho Villa was a guerrilla fighter and led the northern division of soldiers. Somewhat shrouded in mystery and legend, he is seen as Robin Hood, bandit, killer, womanizer, and since 1812, the only foreigner to have invaded, attacked, and killed Americans inside our borders. So, Pancho Villa was a badass, and Emiliano Zapata was a badass. The paths of Zapata and Villa first crossed during the Mexican Revolution with the ousting of Diaz and the turnover of several leaders after that. And there is a picture of them together, Pancho Villa and Emiliano Zapata. So, they came together. Not really, they just basically saw each other. Yeah. Pancho Villa was busy after the war, or during the war, or something. Birth August 8th, 1887, died April 10th, 1990. Spouse or spouses, Josefa Espejo, one child together, Paulina. Children, Paulina Ana Maria Zapata, Portillo, that's her last name. Next child, Carlota Zapata Sanchez, Diego Zapata Pinheiro, so that's 1, 2, 3. Elena Zapata Alfaro, Felipe Zapata Espejo, Gabriel Zapata Sanz, Gabriel Zapata Vázquez, Guadalupe Zapata Alfaro, Josefa Zapata Espejo, Juana Zapata Alfaro, that's 10. Luis Eugenio Zapata Sanz, Margarita Zapata Sanz, Maria Luis Zapata Zuniga, Mateo Zapata, Nicholas Zapata Alfaro, Poncia Zapata Alfaro. 16 kids. No wonder he wanted land reform. Man, he needed somewhere to put all his kids. That's crazy. Pancho Villa, born June 5th, June 5, 1879, died July 20th, 1923. So, yeah, they're born a couple months apart. They died, years apart. So, spouses, Maria Luis Corral. Corral is the only one on record, but supposedly he was married a few other times. Children, one daughter with Maria Luis Zapata, who died in infancy, and various other children from outside his marriage. It says various. Like, it doesn't even have, like, Emiliano Zapata had 16 kids, and they named them all. Pancho Villa had various kids outside his marriage. It doesn't count any of them. I wonder how many kids he has. But anyways, those are the heroes of Mexico. There are plenty more heroes in Mexico. I'm going to rattle off a few. So let's see here. What's going on here? How come I had the list and now I have no list in history? That's what I want. There you go. Okay. That's a lot. So I'm going to rattle off a few of the heroes of Mexico because these are the men and women that shaped Mexico for what it is. I already talked about Pancho Villa, Emiliano Zapata, Frey Tormenta. He's not on this list, but he is a hero. If Oscar de la Hoya is on there, Frey Tormenta is on there. Because what has Oscar de la Hoya done? Why is he considered a hero of Mexico? He's just a boxer and an okay singer. I mean, is he the singer? Yeah. He ain't a hero. He's just a boxer. Boxers can be heroes. Like Frey Tormenta's a wrestler, but he did good. He was a wrestler for an orphanage. Anyways, I saw that. It lit something in me. Frida Kahlo, Porfirio Díaz, Benito Juárez, Diego Rivera, Miguel Hidalgo y Costilla, Antonio López de Santa, Santa Ana, Guillermo del Toro, Octavio País, Pedro Infantes, Francisco Madero, Alfredo Curian, Carlos Santana, Carlos Slim, Ignacio Allende, Oscar de la Hoya, Selma Hayek, Juana Inés de la Cruz, and Victoria Huerta. So I would have to say Oscar de la Hoya and Selma Hayek, unless she's doing charity work. She's an American French actress. You know, she's a Mexican, American, and French actress, and film producer. She's just a good actor. An actress. Yeah, she's just a good actress. She's just famous. I wouldn't call her a hero, but she's a famous Mexican. Oscar de la Hoya, same thing. He's just famous. Carlos Slim, he's a business magnate. He's ranked as the richest person in the world by Forbes. I don't know when, but that is the title he holds. So he's a businessman. He makes money from Mexico. So he may be famous. I don't know about hero, but he's more famous than the other two. Well, he has more money than the other two. Everyone knows Carlos Santana. He is a great guitarist. He's a founding member of the rock band Santana. I wouldn't say hero, but he is a good musician. If you're going to add famous people to this list, they're missing one. Vicente Fernandez. That's like the top hero of Mexico by their standard. I can't spell. So let's do an interesting fact. Okay. 2 interesting facts of Mexico. 3 actually, because I love this one. 4? We'll do 4. So in Mexico, there are 68 recognized languages. 68 languages. It's a lot of languages. That's it. Mexico has the 2nd most museums in the world. It's number 2. Mexico is home to one of the world's largest pyramids. And my favorite, I covered it. I did an episode on it a long time ago. Volcanoes and mythology. In the state of Puebla, Itzapoposa National Park, a sacred place to native stories. The main stars of this place, 2 volcanoes known as Itzapopochtli and Popocatépetl. I butchered those names. Itzi and Popo. Both exceeding 5,000 meters. So that story, or that legend, the legend of that volcano, is the infamous picture that everyone sees of the Aztec warrior carrying the princess up the mountain. That's what that legend is based off. Princess Itzacuatl and the warrior Popocatépetl. It's awesome. But anyways, if y'all want to see that, y'all got to go back to my episode. How long ago was that? Let's see. Where was that? It's not on here? No, I got to have it on here. Hey, page 2. I'm stupid. I couldn't see it. If there was a page 2, I was like, episodes are gone. Man, how far ago did I do this? I already have a Heroes of Mexico episode. Heroes of Mexico Part 2. Man. That is the 3rd episode I did. It is only 16 minutes long, and it was published 5/27/23. I've been doing this for over a year. But anyways, that is it for today. I'm done. It is 5 o'clock in the morning. We get like an hour of sleep. And then I gotta wake up and cut the grass. And my wife wants to go eat dinner. So that is it, guys. I'll see y'all next time next week. And we'll start earlier, probably like 10 or 11 o'clock. We'll start the recording. Oh, and live stream. If you want to catch me live, I'll be on TikTok and on YouTube. I don't think I had anyone chat on YouTube, did I? Did I have any chats on YouTube? Nah, no one on YouTube. Oh, well. I don't care. I'm just starting. Okay. I'll see y'all guys next time. And like always, guys, stay spooky, my friends. Later.